Okay, so let's jump into it. My name is Sarvata Zanan. I'm the International Project Coordinator at Hand in Hand Foundation. We are coordinating this project, Access to Leisure, that has also a quite long name, but we call it and refer it to as Access to Leisure. And today my role is to provide an introduction to the project and the project structure. Yes, first of all, I would like to say thanks to EASPD, who's hosting this webinar and also hosting our e-learning platform that we are going to talk about really soon. Today's agenda, briefly. The aim of today's event is to briefly introduce you to the project, highlight the methodology that we used, and also the principles that we follow through focusing on our 3 target groups. We will be here for around 90 minutes, so 1.5 hours, and we are going to have 6 sections, and our partners are going to speak related their relevant topic and based on the target groups. And also we are going to have a Q&A section at the end of the webinar in around the last 10-15 minutes. As we already mentioned at the beginning, we welcome your questions in the Q&A if you click down on the panel, or in the chat. You can also ask your questions, and you will be able to ask also in person at the end in the last section. So our project, Access to Leisure, is a project in the cooperation partnership Erasmus Plus field on the so-called Key A 220 category, and within that, in the field of adult education. So in the project, we focus on adults with learning disabilities. We are 5 partners from Europe. We are from Hungary, and we are the coordinating organization, and we have partners from Austria, Belgium, Finland, and Slovenia, all with their unique experience in the topic. Why did we start this project, or what were the thoughts behind, what inspired us? We wrote the project in 2021 when the pandemic was still a very big issue. And all of our partners had a lot of experience with their service users after the pandemic, that their options, motivations, and social circles really narrowed down. They also often expressed and experienced loneliness. They expressed it even to us, to the professionals. And researches also show that they experience social marginalization on different levels and due to different factors. And we also saw that even we have really great professionals and who are very passionate about supporting people, in many countries, it is beyond their possibilities to support them in the leisure activities. So based on this, we formulated the aims of our project. And the overall aim is to develop the quality of life of people with learning disabilities with the use of their leisure time. We want to empower and upskill them to be organizers of their leisure time, and also have skills to motivate others to use their leisure time in an entertaining way and in the way they want to do. Further aims were to train professionals and supporters to support people in this process, and also to promote supported decision-making, and thus strengthening a less hierarchical and more informal partnership between these groups. So based on these, we selected 3 target groups who all participated in the project. There's a continuous partnership between them, and we created learning materials for all of these groups as well. These are people with learning disabilities, local informal supporters, and professionals. And in the next presentations, you are going to hear about their role and how we worked together with them the other partners. This slide shows the overview of the project that we started in 2022, and it is going to come to an end soon in 2024 July. So this is one of our last events when we can share it with you. The first part in 2022, it was to lay the theoretical foundations and develop the curriculums. About this part, the next presentation will tell you a lot about how we how we implemented a participatory and inclusive research and what tools did we use. The second part, after we developed the learning materials, we organized international trainings and put the theoretical knowledge into practice. And in 2024, after having everything developed and gaining the knowledge, we transferred the knowledge to others in different forms. This, yes. Slide. So first about the productions, we have 6 productions for the different target groups. The first one is a summary of the research that we will talk about shortly. And we have learning materials for people with learning disabilities. They have a manual and a toolkit with practical tools, a manual and toolkit for supporters, and a manual for professionals. They are all going to be available and free to use on the website of Hand in Hand Foundation. And they are all going to have their own versions in the project languages, which are English, German, Slovenian, Finnish, Hungarian, and Dutch, with some local aspects involved. And we are also, it is already published on the Knowledge Hub of EASPD. And in our last presentation, you can hear about this e-learning platform too. I would like to highlight a few inclusive events to show the participatory nature of the project. And we hope this can also inspire you to involve these activities or include these activities into your projects. Yes. After we created the materials, I mentioned that we organized international learning teaching training events in 2022. We organized it for all of the 3 target groups, for people with learning disabilities, professionals, and supporters. And in the presentations, you are going to hear more about the training for people with learning disabilities, which was a very, very inspiring and still very memorable event for our participants. The aims on these trainings were to test the materials and develop them based on the feedback of the participants, and also provide space for international learning and inspiration to learn about others and good practices. In the second part of 2023, we organized the pilot events by using the knowledge we gained on the international trainings. These events were the idea and the implementation, and all of it came from the participants of the project, and they were also led by them in some cases. And I'd like to highlight that each partner had the freedom and the project had the flexibility to organize the event that is completely unique. So it was completely up to the partners what they are going to organize. So there were very different activities such as table tennis day, a sports event outdoors. There was a board games event, and also mini golf and chocolate walk in Brussels. So it was they were all very different and very much matching the ideas and experience of the project participants locally. After we put the knowledge into practice, we had this part in 2024 where we passed on the knowledge to others. For this, we organized workshops and also local conferences. Here, I would like to highlight the workshops where most partners decided to involve the people with learning disabilities into the planning and implementation of the workshops. So this was also a very inspiring event because the workshop participants could learn from expert by experience and who were fully involved in the process and also since the beginning to the project. And this is a very good example of peer-to-peer learning because it inspires them so much. And as one of the aim was to motivate other peers to use their leisure time in the most comfortable way, it was a very, very good tool to involve our project participants into it. And another solution partner used, because the workshops were also very flexible how partners would like to organize, was to give the workshop to mixed audience, where all the three target groups were present. So this is also a special challenge in some points, and you need to pay attention to many factors, but the workshops received a really, really great feedback and also a good opportunity to show how a partnership can be a tool to work together. And that's all from me. You can reach out to me anytime on this email address regarding the project or anything related to the topic.
Perfect. Well, then I will share my screen now with all of you. Okay, perfect. So I hope you can all see my screen. Everything should work fine. Hello from sunny Austria. It's nice to have you all here in at our webinar. And yeah, I will talk a little bit. Me and my colleague Priska, we are from Atempo in Graz. We will talk a little bit about accessible documents or the accessibility features of our project, more or less. And then also about the LTTA in Graz, which we held in last year, which is the learning, teaching, training activity. But Priska will tell you a little bit more about it in a few minutes. I will mainly focus about the accessibility. And first up, we thought about what accessibility actually is. We took like the definition more or less. We came up in another project a few years back. And it's very important that accessibility when all individuals, regardless of ability, are able to participate in society. And this can cover many different things. You can read it yourself on the screen here now. But that's the main focus we try to focus on, so that everyone can, on the one side, participate in the project as good as possible, and on the other side also can get all the documents and the website and all the outputs we produced in the best way possible. So we also try to think about who is affected, so people who are not able to see good or not perfectly, also people without the perception of color, or people with limited hearing, people with learning difficulties, and all those different types of people. There are many of us, and so we had to think about many different types of people out there. And so mainly we of course with our products we tried to focus on our website, of course, and also the documents we were producing. But of course we also held our learning activities and our meetings and all those things, and we also tried to have those also as accessible as possible. But for the websites and the documents, it was very important. So we tried for the different target groups to have, on the one side, understandable and accessible texts, of course. Then it should all should be readable as good as possible. So you need to have a nice contrast. The text should be formatted in a good way. Everything should be big enough, and all those aspects we try to put into our products and outcomes. Another thing is also for pictures, which we are using in our outcomes. They needed to have alternative text, especially, or that's mainly very important for people with visual impairment, because of course they can't see the picture, or they can't see the picture as good as others maybe. And for them, they are using screen readers, so it's very important to have the alt text or the alternative text in the background of the picture. So that they can really understand and still get the idea of what's in this picture. Sometimes it's not that easy for this alternative text to get the right message across, But yeah, we tried our best, and I think we found good solutions for that. Another thing, what we tried to do was multimodality. So we tried to, so like here you can see a weather forecast, which is a perfect example for that. Because you have like you have the information in voice, then you also have it in a visual way. So you have different aspects, and all the information is coming across in different ways. So we tried with pictures, with videos, with interactive tasks, with our Moodle platform, and all those different things, which helps in getting the message and the content across. And also one very important thing, Lucia was talking already a little bit about that, is the participation of users. So from the first day of the project, we tried to include as many participants as possible. We had our inclusive teams. We tried to check every text and everything with our participants as well. So we have a good feedback on it. Yes, so of course there are many other things we did and lots of other approaches, but those are the main and most important ones. And talking about the participation, my colleague Priska will now tell you a little bit about the LTTA in Graz, which we held last year. And yeah.
Yes, thank you, Aaron, for this smooth transition into my aspects of this webinar. So I will tell you a little bit more about the learning, teaching, training activity we had in Graz in Austria last year. We spent 5 days together in Graz, and we spent the time on researching and finding out more about the topic, how to become a leisure facilitator. So we had 1 week in April in 2023 to discover the topic and to find ways of answering this question in a participatory approach. So we had, next slide, please. We had 27 participants from 5 different countries at atempo. So we had 7 people from Austria, we had 5 people from Slovenia, 6 people from Belgium, and 4 from Finland, and 5 from Hungary, who together spent this whole week. And so how did we exactly do it? We had every morning theoretical lessons where we worked in smaller groups to find out more about how we could approach the topic, as well as how we could really concrete plan different leisure activities that we would do together or in smaller groups in the afternoons with the whole group. As you can see in the picture, one of the activities was visiting a castle in Graz, but we tried to find different leisure activities where all the participants also could choose beforehand where they wanted to go. Next slide, please, Aaron. So one example, or I listed some examples here. We found an inclusive climbing opportunity in Graz. Some of us visited an interactive museum. We did lots of connection games, of course, because one big part of this week was getting to know each other and learn from each other, because we all have different backgrounds with our countries. And we think that it's a big and important part of Erasmus Plus projects to connect and all those different activities, as well as the theoretical parts and lessons and workshop we did in the morning, also had the aim to really find connections between each other. Yes. Of course, one challenge was language. As you can imagine, we had 5 different languages plus English, and none of us was a native speaker in English. So, of course, we spent a lot of time in translating and helping each other to understand each other. Yes. And of course, we also had lots of possibilities to spend our free time in lunch and other smaller leisure activities that we did spontaneously in the afternoons. And even though language was an issue that we had to face, I think it was a really big success for all participants from all inclusive teams. And one example where you can see that is our feedback wall we did at the end of the week, where all participants uploaded their favorite picture of the week in the Padlet. And maybe you want to open it, Aaron, so that we can have a closer look. You can see that we have many different favorite pictures of the week. We have pictures of the amazing race that we did in smaller groups through Graz. We have pictures of the climbing. We have pictures of the museum. We have pictures of lunches we had together, as well as the training we did every morning. So yes, it really was a memorable week, as you said, Charlotte, before, I think, for all of us who participated. I participated as a trainer, but we have the chance today that we also have participants from other countries who agreed to answer 2 questions from our part to see how it was for them from Hubbie. So Ellen, you agreed to help me out with the language translation.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hi. Can you see me as well?
Yes, we can see you, we can hear you.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you so much. So question 1, I would like to ask the 3 participants you have here in the background of the camera is, could you please describe 1 or 2 personal highlights you experienced during your travel and during your stay in Graz?
Of course. I'm here with Wesley, and Wesley's going to be answering this question. Dus Wesley, wat was voor u een hoogtepunt in Graz?
Ja, het Doemmuseum, dat vond ik heel leuk. Daar mochten experimenten doen. Ik heb daar ook geknutseld in het museum. En dan heb ik bij jullie nog een collage gemaakt over de vrije tijd.
So just to quickly translate that, Wesley's favorite part about the training in Graz was the interactive museum where he conducted different experiments, and he also did some art. He made a collage there specifically about leisure time. So yeah. Dominique was going to be here as well, which was another one of our inclusive team members, but he dropped out last minute. But he gave us his highlight, which Wesley's going to say as well.
Dominique vond de opwarmers van de verschillende landen het leukst. Het waren verschillende opwarmers. En iedereen heeft goed meegedaan. Dus Dominique deed ook mee in de workshop die wij gegeven hebben, ook de opwarmer.
So Dominique's favorite part about the Graz training was the different icebreakers that each country brought to the table. And in fact, he was so fond of it that during the workshops that we did later in Belgium for different audiences, Dominique actually led many of these icebreakers himself. So yeah, for him, icebreakers were the biggest highlight.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear about that. And I'm also very happy to see you, Wesley. It's really nice. Yes, thank you. We have another question for you. So we were wondering, apart from your highlights, did you learn or experience something new during your travel that you still are thinking about now?
Dus Martien, wat heb je nieuw geleerd?
Ik heb in Erasmus veel geleerd over de vrije tijd in andere landen. Ik heb daar ook geleerd om op zoek te gaan naar vrije tijd op de gsm. En we deden ook een fotozoektocht op de gsm. En ik vond dat heel leuk.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Thanks, Martin. So to quickly translate, Martin has learned a lot in Graz, more specifically from the other countries as well. What they did as well in Graz was learn to work on their mobile phones to find different leisure activities. And they put this into practice as well when they did a photo challenge throughout the city where they had to use their phones to find certain elements in the city. So, yeah.
Thank you. Great. Thank you so much for being here. I think it's good to see that also for Wesley and Martin, it was a great week, apparently. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for your attention. That was it from our side, from Atempo. And of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Yes. And I would move forward to help me out. Who's coming next?
It's me.
Ellen, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, let me quickly share my presentation. The others are just leaving, but I guess I can get started already. So my name's Ellen. I'm a colleague from Belgium, from Hubbie, which is one of the partner organizations in this project. So Hubbie worked more specifically on the manual for local informal supporters, or otherwise known as volunteers, to help them in how to co-organize leisure activities. So now, before I delve into the content of these research productions, I want to quickly highlight the role that volunteers played throughout this project. So first of all, the volunteers offered a structural contribution to the project because they were participants of the inclusive teams. So this was basically just like the research group that also gave their opinions and experiences on the topic. Aside from that, they also participated in a 3-day training for volunteers in Ljubljana last year. That was the occasion for the different volunteers from the different inclusive teams from across Europe to meet and to discuss and brainstorm about inclusive leisure time. That was really the opportunity to learn about cross-country differences. And those two opportunities have really been moments to learn from volunteers and use their input throughout the research productions. So I just wanted to quickly clarify that you'll notice that throughout the project, we refer to volunteers as local informal supporters. Now, we do so because this term, in fact, really summarizes the role that volunteers can play in inclusive leisure time. So I'll go into more depth about these 3 individual terms now. Starting off with local. We know that there are barriers that prevent people with learning disabilities in engaging in leisure activities. Now, what's interesting to note is that, in fact, 3 of the 4 factors are location-based restraints. So we can note that people with learning disabilities very often lack a certain level of information or knowledge about the area where they are located in. So it is therefore that we sort of suggest volunteers to be an important bridge between the service user and the neighborhood wherein they are located. And in fact, they are able to fulfill this role often better than a professional because a volunteer, more often than not, is from the local area, whereas this isn't always the case for a professional. The volunteer, in a very natural sense, offers knowledge about the neighborhood and about local leisure activities and resources. And of course, this is a starting point, but the volunteer must also possess the ability to transfer this knowledge to the person with learning disabilities in a way that's easy to comprehend, and that's not always that self-explanatory. And then lastly, but most importantly, there must also be the ability to transfer the skills to use local resources for leisure. so that the service user can also do this process of finding leisure activities as independently as possible. And that's really where this sense of autonomy and self-determination come into. So yeah, this transfer of knowledge and skills about using local resources for leisure is crucial, because we know that it increases the sense of belongingness and connection that an individual has to the neighborhoods, and ultimately it fosters social inclusion. So I have here a quick example of one of the tools that we mention in the manual for volunteers, which is simply just a mapping of local resources. So it's an information-based tool, and it just basically provides an overview of the different resources that are out there, which can help an individual to engage in leisure activities. And these resources can be extremely diverse. I mean, it could be a physical space like a community center. It could be offline information like a brochure, or it could be an online tool such as Facebook. I mean, there's so much out there, and a mapping could really help to could help one navigate through these different sources of information. Alternatively, we propose exploring the neighborhoods, which is more of like an environment-based tool. And this is, this basically just involves an open-ended exploration to enable discoveries, contacts, and insights. So this could just be a walk which a volunteer and a person with learning disabilities embark on without predefined goals, just exploring with an open mind. And I mean, this is cool because you don't have this transmission of knowledge or skills necessarily. It's really two people discovering together, as equals. And I mean, it's cool as well because this in and of itself is a leisure activity. So yeah. So the second distinct feature about a local informal supporter is the informality that they bring within the relationship. So the local informal supporter very much supports on a voluntary and informal basis. So this means, for example, that the volunteer doesn't is first of all under a lot less work pressure. So they have more time and energy to invest in specific tasks or specific people, which also allow them to grow closer to these people. They also act on experiential expertise rather than professional training. So they can approach people in a more spontaneous or in a more personal manner. So a lot of benefits that a volunteer can offer in a leisure context. So we know that very often people with learning but with the process of befriending, which is basically separation of a natural support role and a paid professional relationship. We seek to challenge that a little bit. So this would mean that the volunteer, in fact, takes on a part of this natural support role in a way that is very natural, meaning that the relationship between the service user and the volunteer is built based on a common interest or an everyday similarity, so that the leisure activity, for example, is what binds the two people together. And this really reinforces the innate nature of a relationship, and also contributes to the effective practice of the leisure activity. We also know that when there is this process of befriending, that there is more independence of the person with a learning disability from this professional figure, which of course enhances self-determination in a leisure context. We also have a tool to support a volunteer with this, to really make sense of these formal and these informal relationships. So the inclusion web is basically a web that displays the different layers of relationships. And yeah, it can be really interesting to sit with a service user and think about these different relationships and how these are perceived by the individual. So lastly, of course, the volunteer takes up a supporter role, and we understand support in the sense of co-facilitation. So that means assisting in a way that boundaries of independence and autonomy are respected. And to do so, we sort of set two mutual the capabilities and the desires of both the volunteer and the service user, just to create this sense of familiarity and trust between the two individuals. And once that's in place, there's room for supported decision making, where the volunteer really assists or supports the person with learning disabilities in the decision-making process. He or she does so through really guarding the autonomy and the connectedness and the competence of the leisure participant. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. We go in more detail in the manual. But yeah, I'd just like to thank you for your attention, and pass the word on to Lucia, who's going to tell you more about the manual designed specifically for the professionals. So thank you.
You can see your screen, Lucia, so you can go ahead. We cannot hear you, though.
Thank you. So I will continue with the role of the professionals as a co-facilitator. And as I mentioned before, we would like to clarify the name or the definition of the learning disability that we used during this process and during the project. Based on the definition of Szekeres, there are two categories of learning disabilities. This category is based on the Hungarian version of the definition. And the common from all of the partners was actually the second category, the people with mild intellectual disability. So I just would like to mention that during the whole project, when we mentioned the definition of a person with learning disabilities, we mean that we worked together with people with mild intellectual disability. And as you can see that the training element focused on three spheres. How does the first module of individual manual helps supporting the autonomy of persons with learning disabilities? Secondly, we focused on the supporting social interactions of PBLDs regarding leisure time. And thirdly, how we use the leisure resources. So as you now can see that the whole all of the manual is based on these three spheres and three elements. And actually, when we focus on the objective of the modules, for us, it was very important when we created the manual for the professionals. How can we provide for them a theoretical basis for the effective development of PBLD's self-determination? Secondly, we focused on sharing ways to help PBLDs better understand their leisure habits, needs, and favorite leisure activities. And thirdly, providing an introduction to assisted decision-making methods so professionals can apply them, supporting PBSDs to make more effective decisions when organizing leisure time. As a theoretical basis, we focused on a few main parts. Firstly, for us, it was very important to focus on the leisure as a human right. And we highlighted the importance of this focus as a first basis. After that, we used the concept of leisure education, and you can read more about on the manual. Surely the concept of leisure. Actually, here I would like to mention the vision of the division of two types of leisure activities. One of them is serious leisure activities as a hobby, and the second was actually what we used during the whole project is the one-off leisure activities or casual leisure activities. The casual one-off leisure activity is just a short duration leisure activity that does not require significant training or skills. So when, as professionals, we develop new skills, we thought it's very important to divide these two types of leisure activities. So, and after that, when we go back to the theoretical basis, the first one was the person-centered active support, and the last one, the self-determination of PBLDs regarding leisure. During this whole process of leisure education, we wanted to create new opportunities, build on options, develop relevant skills, and empower individuals. If we focus on one of the main training block providing the theoretical basis, I just would like to mention that person-centered active support was one of the main parts of our development process. Actually, during the manual, you can see different types of tools. We have also a toolkit based on this, and actually, for us, it was very important to develop very interesting and shareable tools that we can use easily during our daily works. So, for example, now you can see one of them related to the supportive decision-making part of the project. We use different methods and tools during this process. And you can also find them in the manual with descriptions and examples how we used during the project. Yes. Yes. I just would like to show you some other tools what we used during the befriending process. As mention that for us it was very important to highlight the role of that kind of role of the befriending process, because the bridge between the professional and the PVLDs was the local informal supporter, and our aim was to, as professionals, be in the background as a facilitator, a co-facilitator, but we really wanted to create an environment, a learning environment for that kind of bridging role of the local informal supporter, create an environment how can we support their relationships of PVLDs, and how they can create kind of friendship-based working environment or being environment. So professionals can provide the local informal supporter and PVLD the appropriate professional background to properly support both parties according to their expectations and needs. And during this process, we went through the all main three parts of the manual. How can we support the social interact? How can we support to increase the social interactions of PVLDs? How can we help them to create local resources? And also how can we support firstly the self-determination of them? So during this whole process, we used that kind of tools. For example, when we focused on the third one, the third main element of the local research development, we used the asset mapping, and you can also find the description in the ESPD platform, the e-learning platform. So I would like to give the floor to the last presentation, which will tell you about more the e-learning module of the whole project.
So what we're here to talk about today is our e-learning platform and how to utilize it. And well, first of all, what is it? And I'm Antti Saastamoinen from Tukena Foundation, and my colleague Risto Räkköläinen is sharing our presentation for you. And we also have Elisa Nappa from our team following the webinar online. No problem, skip this one. And in our presentation, we'll explain what the platform is, what it contains, how to utilize it, and how to access courses. And if we have time, we have prepared like a small live demonstration through screen sharing. What is it then? The e-learning platform is basically like a digitalized version of the training manuals made for this project, and it is accessed from ESPD's Knowledge Hub, Moodle-based platform. And the platform has own courses for people with learning difficulties, professionals, and local informal supporters. Here are the different contents of the course, and the first section shown here is how to become a leisure facilitator, meant for people with learning disabilities. And the section or the course encourages one to think about like own leisure time in general, but also the social side of it. And then the section also contains like advices and hints on how to find new different leisure activities, both online and offline. Second course is about how to become a leisure co-facilitator of people with learning disabilities and what it means to support people with learning disabilities in their leisure activities. And the third one, work professionals, it's basically about supporting the autonomy and self-determination of people with learning disabilities, while also giving tools for professionals to help person with support needs to make like individual decisions and make it possible for them to enjoy the leisure time as they wish. And all three courses contain digitalized tools and manuals. They're in PDF format, so you can use them both in digital format or print them if you like. And each course also contains like exercises and small quizzes so you can test what you've learned during the course. All the courses are divided into like small sections and modules, so it's easier to track your progress, and it allows you to study entirely at your own pace. We'll do a small demonstration on screen share at the end of this presentation to show you how it works.
Slide.
Well, next we'll go through on how to get there, because there are quite some steps in this process, and we'll try to make this short, but we decided it's better to go through this because it might be a little bit complicated. And well, this starts as a pretty basic system. To enroll on the course you want to enroll to, you need to create an account. And for that, you need a working email address, and you need to create a username and a password to create the new account. You can, yeah. And after that, you're registered to the ESP Disc Knowledge Hub, but you still have to find the correct course. And this might be a little tricky, but you have to click, there's like a navigation bar on top of the screen. And in order to enroll on the course, you have to click e-learning on the navigation bar. And after that, it gives you like a list of courses, and you can search this project on the search field by writing access to leisure. And after clicking the project, you can see all the courses. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention, we have like fourth section, which is like all the tools that are included in the courses. All the tools can be accessed at the same place, which is the digital toolkit. But yeah, at this point, you can see the 4 different courses, and you can choose your liking. And after that, you can click enroll me in this course, and then you are in. And at this point, can you share your screen so we can take a quick peek at the platform?
Yeah, I will just okay, so now you should see the Knowledge Hub of EASPD on your screen, right? Yes. So, okay, I have already searched for access to leisure, and now we are going to the course.
So basically, this e-learning course is just the training manuals, but in a digitized version. So you don't need you don't necessarily need to print them out or anything. You can access them by this EASP Knowledge Hub. So as Antti mentioned earlier, you can find here is the training manual for the persons with learning disabilities. Here's the training manual for the local informal supporters, and here for the professionals. And also you see here is the toolkit where you can find all the tools that we have also in the manuals, but now here they are in the same place and can be downloaded as PDF. So a little demonstration. Let's say I'm a professional and I'm looking for the training for professionals. So I click here. And now it opens up the course for the professionals. Here on the side, you can see what's in there. There's module 1, module 2, 3, and summary. And at the end, there's the digital. Let's, for example, go to module 3. How to support PVDs in finding online community resources for leisure time. So this is a little bit of something that Ellen also mentioned in her presentation. So here, if you scroll down, you will see there's a little bit of introduction. There's exercises. There's tools. So basically everything that you can also find in the training manuals are here. I think let's look at the digital tools section. Okay, so here you can see are all the tools that are used in this manual for the professionals. You can download them here. They're all in PDF format. So I think once you get to the course, it's pretty easy to use. I think yes. So this is the main site, and here you can scroll down. Okay, I will show you also a little bit the toolkit. So here are all the tools from all the manuals in the same place. If you want to see training for persons with learning disabilities and find the tools used there, you can find all of them here. Okay. I think that's all we have to say about this. The best is always to go and do it for yourself. We can show a little bit how it works, but usually when you hear somebody else explaining it, it's different when you do it yourself. So I highly encourage everybody in this webinar to go and enroll to the course. Maybe we can even put the link into the chat section. Yeah. So now I think we have a total of 6 minutes for questions and answers, either to the e-learning platform or to the other presenters.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We haven't received any question in the Q&A nor in the chat, but I would start off with a question about the e-learning platform. For the path that is for the people with learning disabilities, how do we recommend its use? Like, do we recommend to use it by themselves, or is it better to use it with a supporter or a professional, or what do you think? Like, what recommendation we can give to others?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and this is a thing that we have also thought about ourselves. This depends very much on the skill set of the person in question. So I think if the person is very capable, can read English and understand English, then I see no problem. Why couldn't you use it by yourself? But I still think it is recommended that you use it with support. If something comes up, it's normally it's easier to just ask the person next to you than just wait for like a few days or weeks until you see your supporter the next time. So I think the recommendation would be to use it with the supporter, but I see no restriction or obstruction. Why couldn't you use it yourself if you have the skills needed to do so?
Okay, thank you. If anyone from the audience has questions, I think you can raise the hand and then we can give access to the microphone. So maybe in the next 2 minutes, or you can also type your question into the chat so we can all see it. But if you don't have questions, that's also fine. Yeah, I don't think we have any questions now. Yes, okay. If there are no questions, I hope that we could give some inspiration for you to, when you implement a project, to really use this inclusive and participatory approach and involve your service users or clients into the implementation, because it gives a lot of extra experience for them and also for those who will learn from them. So this is a really nice tool to, with a little bit more effort, to bring even more knowledge and more excitement into the project. So I really thank for all our partners for taking it so serious, and also really nice to see the colleagues of Hubbie being all there. Yes, we got a congratulations in the chat. So I think I will conclude with that, and thank you for being here and listening to us, and thank you for my colleagues too for the presentations. And yes, we are going to publish the materials very soon on the project website, and we will communicate about it. I guess for those who registered, we can send an email, and then you will be able to download and use the resources. Thank you very much for the nice wishes and the congratulations, and yeah, thank you for being here. And yeah, bye-bye.